All right, Isaiah chapter 10. Let's call this one presumption, a tool. Going back to the way in which we identified David's acknowledgement or the psalmist's acknowledgement that he needed to be delivered from the danger of his own presumption, moving forward in times when God has not called him to move forward. And that is a warning that is going to be relevant on a national scale as here Isaiah takes a break in his prophecies against Israel and Judah to talk about the future of those God is using to deal with them. Understanding that chapter 10 seems to take the shape of a warning to the condemned and then an encouragement to, once again, the remnant left behind in Judah after God's judgment is complete. Understanding that between that warning to the condemned and the encouragement to the remnant, there is going to be a discussion of the tool, that being Assyria, the tool that, as we have seen in previous chapters, God will use to step in and call a halt to the invasion of Judah by Israel and Syria. Understanding that he is going to liken them to a tool. That discussion of Assyria is going to begin roughly around verse 5, where he makes it clear that they are nothing more than a tool. Around about verse 12, he is going to say, but when he is done using them for his purposes in Israel and Judah amongst his people, he will then remind them, as Psalm 9 has reminded us, or the psalmist called in verse 9, remind the nations that they are but men. Understanding that there are times when God has given us a level of authority that will cause us to be presumptuous about the scope of that authority. A mistake that Assyria makes, which can possibly be seen beginning in verse 5, where it reads, Assyria, the rod of my anger, the staff in their hands is my fury. Against a godless nation I send him, and against the people of my wrath I command him. That is going to be a contrast to their ambitions or what they see as the scope of their authority in roughly the end of verse 7, where it's going to say, but it is in his heart to destroy and to cut off nations, not a few. Understanding there's a subtle nuance in God's scope of authority for Assyria. He sent them against a godless nation and a godless people. Their ambitions are to use their apparent authority to conquer nations and not a few. And so in much the same way that God is bringing Assyria against those in Israel and Judah who have turned their unrighteous habits into unrighteous laws to remind them that they are just men, he is then going to remind the Assyrians that they are simply a tool. A theme that will continue as Isaiah's prophecies from God shift their focus from Israel and Judah in the first 12 chapters to the rest of the nations in the chapters that follow.